Anybody else want to share?
Well, my low was I thought I made this wonderful Pear Deck activity for my kids, and then I couldn't figure out how to share it or have them get on it or anything.
Oh, darn.
So, uh, my high is I took Friday off, not realizing it was a PD day. So, woohoo!
That's awesome. Good for you. Do you have fun plans for your weekend?
My sister and I are doing the craft show out at Second Chance Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
So I'm actually still going to be working, just not at school.
Different kind of work. Yeah.
Yeah, different kind of work.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My high and low were the same thing. I started the master's program and I realized I'm in over my head trying to do APA style and writing a bunch of articles. So it's both high and low.
Okay. Oh, that's fair. Who are you doing your master's program through?
EOU.
Okay.
Eastern
Is
Oregon.
it online or hybrid?
All online.
Online.
So that's even a challenge itself because I don't know how to link things and I've been in the classroom and I am going crazy. So we're having to learn how to find articles online and we're having to figure out how to do APA because I have never done APA style for writing. And so I'm doing it with a coworker, but we're just like, we're sinking, we're drowning right now. And it's only we haven't even been in school a week. It'll be a week tomorrow.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Hang in there.
It's all good. Yeah.
Janine, what about you?
Well, I don't know if it's high and low. I had a low where I worked Friday night till 9 and I worked all day Saturday until 11:30. But my high is I stayed home from church Sunday and slept all day.
Okay.
And I got to see my mom. My mom's in an assisted living facility and haven't got to see her for a long time. And they finally opened it up to where I could see her in person.
Good. I'm so glad.
I had an interesting thing happen today. I used to teach third grade, right? And Christina and I are planning for next week. And it was that, you remember the desert unit?
Yeah.
Okay. The teacher read aloud in the book with the rhinoceros on it. I looked at that story. I thought, this is familiar. And I read it and I thought, that is in our third grade reader. So I went to Joanne and I borrowed the reader, and sure enough, it's the same story that's in the third grade reader.
That's awesome. Things that you wouldn't notice unless you went from third grade to second grade.
Exactly. If I hadn't taught third grade before, I wouldn't have known that, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Oh my goodness. That's awesome. Good for
I
you.
also found out that I could access that third grade stuff through Savas. I thought I was stuck in second grade.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was supposed to or not, but I figured out a way to get to third grade stuff.
If you can get to whatever you need, take advantage of it. That's awesome. Good. Well, thanks for sharing that.
It's a high, low, and medium.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, we will go ahead and get started. I'm going to shuffle my screens real fast. And then I'll share this one with you. I was doing a PD this morning and got way too far into it before I realized I wasn't even sharing my screen. So I'm talking about stuff and nobody's looking at what I'm looking at. Dang it. So if I do that tonight for some reason, please feel free to unmute and say, hey, we can't see anything. All right. Good evening and welcome to our last session of the September PD socials, specifically in Seesaw. I'm going to skip through this because we've already met. Just as a quick reminder, this series has been hosted by the Eastern Oregon Wren, and the whole purpose is that we'd have this opportunity for both PD and networking. And we've been meeting every Tuesday during the month of September, the last 4 Tuesdays, I guess. The 2 major objectives were that you would learn strategies for effectively engaging students and families using Seesaw, and then that you'd be able to collaborate virtually with each other using Seesaw to share ideas, successes, and resources. And so we're going to touch on each of these tonight, but one of the key things that we are going to hit on, because we haven't really talked about this up until now, is this idea of being able to engage families using Seesaw. and what that looks like to be a family member of a student who's connected in Seesaw, and what supports and what resources are available to them. A couple of logistics: we are meeting from 7 till 8:30 tonight. If you'd like a copy of the slide deck, the URL is right here, bit.ly/seesawsocial4. I do recommend 2 devices or 2 monitors. However, you feel free to navigate this however you like. We're going to do a lot more on my screens today, but we will shift to the Seesaw platform where you can take a look around at different points throughout the presentation. We'll take a look. We've been taking a look at the teacher and the student platforms. You'll get to see a little bit of both tonight. You're also going to get to see the family app. And then last but not least, just encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity for networking. You've got a chance to collaborate with other educators from other schools. And so if somebody says something that catches your attention, please know it's totally okay to reach out to that individual and say, hey, can I hear more about what you're doing in your class? Or can I hear more about this idea that you shared? Again, just take advantage of the chance to collaborate with others, because that's what this is for. We've talked about this quote every time that we've met from the distance learning playbook, but this idea that we don't want to be talked at, but we want to learn with, and this idea that learning happens in community, both for our students and for us. And so the first week that we met, we looked at community building and how we could use Seesaw to help build the community of students in our classroom, whether we're in person or meeting online. And so we walked through some different activities, and then you had the chance to create some activities. Then the last 2 weeks, we've shifted to this idea of accountable talk. So conversations back and forth between students that are rich, that are meaningful, that are evidence-based. Students are they are stating a point, they are making a case, they're supporting with evidence from a text or from pictures or from experience, and then they're defending their reasoning. They're also critiquing the reasoning of others, whether that's by agreeing with them or disagreeing, or just adding on to what's being said. Really learning how to get past surface level conversation and into some real depth where deep learning can take place. And so that first activity that we did a couple of weeks ago was the idea of adding on, being able to put a picture into Seesaw and giving students the opportunity to just say what they think the picture might be of. And then their peers looked at the picture and they added on to what was said before them. In the second activity, and now I'm drawing a blank because my picture doesn't go with it. We read the text about getting salty. And we talked about looking at a text and stating an opinion based off of text, and then peers were going in and reading student responses to that, and they were choosing to agree. So whether or not that you actually agreed with what was said, you had the chance to read very carefully and find something to agree with. And then the last activity, we played a game, and we did Would You Rather. And you had to disagree with your peer. And we made this a very, very safe environment to disagree, because we said everybody gets their own opinion, but then when we respond, everybody's going to disagree. And so if somebody posts that they disagree with you, it's not that they don't like you. They may not even actually disagree with you in real life, but we're just practicing for it right now. Getting students used to disagreeing respectfully, but also getting students used to hearing someone disagree with their own opinion without getting super offended. We said that as we bring students into this world of accountable talk, that we want to make sure that the activities we provide them with are standards-based, and so they're academic in nature. We also said we've got to scaffold them. We've got to provide them some supports, whether that is very clear directions, maybe that's adding pictures, using the voice narration, or also providing them sentence frames, sentence starters as they're responding to each other. We're giving them the supports that they need so that they can start to engage in these conversations, and they're not left with things like yeah and okay and cool and same or I agree, things like that, because those are so easy to fall back into. And then again, we talked about how we want these activities to be low risk, because it is a little bit scary to step out and engage in an academic conversation with somebody else. It pushes students out of their comfort zones. It pushes us out of their comfort zones. And then when we get into an area where somebody's critiquing our reasoning and there's a chance they might disagree with us, or they might find an area of weakness that they need to add into. Again, that puts students in a vulnerable position. And so we want to create this environment of low risk so that students can access this experience. So the challenge that I gave you at the end of last week was to design an activity that would support accountable talk amongst students. This can be very, very simple. It does not have to be fancy. But we talked about how we could take these activities and we could share them within this Google slide. And so the next little bit of our time together is set aside for you to share the activities that you've created. And if you haven't created one, that's totally okay. But I'm going to pause and jump out of our presentation mode and just ask, did you get a chance to do this week with your kids, or just by yourself? Okay, that's all right. Have you had the chance to use Seesaw at all this week with your students? Okay, Janine, do you want to tell us about it?
Well, we put all of our assignments on Seesaw.
Okay.
Everything.
Do you have some routines that you feel like are working better than others?
What we do is we have the Seesaw assignments, and then in Google Classroom, we post the Google assignments. So I do is like Tuesday. Underneath Tuesday, I have a link to each of the Google assignments that they are to do, so they can access the Google through their they can access Seesaw through their Google Classroom. So everything's right there. And then I put a system where if it absolutely had to be done, it had a star in front of it. If it was just kind of a fun activity, there was no stars, so they could prioritize if they can't get everything done.
Okay. I like that. Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing that. Has that seemed to work pretty well for your students?
Yes, it has.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, I'm going to leave this here. And if at some point you create something and you go, I want to share this, please feel free to send it out. I know when people are registering for this training, email addresses are collected. And so if you create an activity and you go, ooh, I want to share this with this team, it really is okay to send it in to me. I can connect with Mary Jane and we will do what we can to get that pushed out to the group. So just trying to provide the opportunity for you guys to collaborate with each other and to share ideas as you have them. Before we transition to the next part of the night, any burning questions or anything that you'd like to share? This does not have to be related to these activities. This is really just a chance for you to direct this if you've got some things you're hoping to accomplish tonight.
Okay, I've got a question.
Yeah.
I asked you earlier. Is there a way to make sure you can check all the kids' work through Seesaw? Because I find I've corrected everything, or I thought I've corrected everything. The next morning, it's a whole bunch more assignments. I don't think kids did like 80 assignments overnight.
Oh my gosh. So Janine, a couple of thoughts. So I know Chelsea commented about using a sticker chart. So she tracks them like she would in class, where like she treats Seesaw more like the stack of papers. And then I think on either a clipboard or a sticker chart, she's actually like physically checking off their work so she can see who's turned what in and who's missing what assignments.
Because I do keep track of who's turning what in, but it's like I've been through the whole queue of assignments, I thought, and then the next morning there's like 80 more assignments. Like, wait a minute, I thought I graded everything.
Yeah.
Is there like a lag time or something that?
There's not a lag time, so I am wondering if you've got kids that are going in late and posting.
Or am I supposed to access it through, do I go through the activities or do I go through the journal page?
You can go either way on that one. So journal's going to give you it in the order that the students are posting it. So most recent's going to be at the top. And if you wanted to give yourself kind of a placeholder, so you're going, like I know this is where I stopped. If we go add post student work, and then I'm just going to insert something from the drawing page, and I'm just going to do like a colorful background, or we'll just go black background.
Okay.
Click done. This will be my sample student. I'm not going to put it in a folder, but all the only purpose for this is to be a placeholder in my journal feed, so that as I'm scrolling, I go, that's what I've graded to. Anything above that has come in since I stopped grading. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kind of a messy way to do it, but if you go out of the journal, that might work.
Okay.
I
didn't know if journal tab was best, or activities tab, or inbox, or what's the best
That's
way
a
to
hard one. The notifications I don't like as much, just because those tend to go away as soon as I click on them. Like once I've clicked on my notifications once, I don't get that bubble anymore. It's not like my email inbox where I open it and then it goes away.
Yeah.
I was gonna say one way you could do this is out of skills, but that's more gonna tag the skills, not the assignment that they did. Janine, I'm kind of leaning toward using the journal. Like maybe initially when you grade an assignment, grade from your activities tab. Like if you want to grade all of the salty assignments at the same time, grade those. And then maybe even after you're done doing that, give yourself a placeholder in the journal, and then just do late work out of the journal after that.
Okay. I didn't know if there was some magic.
There's not. I wish.
Magic formula. Okay.
No, that's a great question.
I grade as activity first, and then I go through the journal and see what I missed or what I learned in later.
Yeah, no, that I haven't found anything better. If you learn a new system, though, I would love to hear it.
Okay, I want to.
I don't have a better one.
Okay, that's all I had.
No, thanks for asking. Kelly, Melissa, any questions before we keep moving?
Yeah, I have a question. I think I missed the first class of like how to start Seesaw, like get your kids involved in the actual thing, and then how to do it. And I heard you're supposed to be able to run it like Class Dojo, where you have messages between parents and stuff. I feel like I've jumped into part 2 and I missed all of part 1. So I don't know if maybe you have like a video or something that I could watch on my free time or something.
Okay. Yeah. So you want to get your kids engaged, and then you want to get your families too? Is that right?
Yeah, I would like to use it in case we end up going to distance learning. I would like to have a platform in addition to our curriculum to communicate.
Got it. Okay. Yes. Let me see what I can find as far as a quick video for you. And then I'm going to actually demo the parent side of this in a little bit. And so hopefully I can kind of answer some questions there too. That's perfect. Okay, Kelly, if you have questions, feel free to stop me. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and we'll jump into the next section. All right. So we're going to shift gears from this idea of accountable talk to this concept of an authentic audience. So before I start to share information, I just want to ask you, how do you feel like having an authentic audience benefits students? You can either unmute or you can put it in the chat. I wasn't sure how many people came tonight. But again, how do you think having an authentic audience benefits students?
I think it's going to depend on the student.
Okay. Kelly, how have you seen it benefit some of your students?
The kids that are shy and worried about getting it wrong, I think they don't worry about that on Seesaw because nobody's going to see it but me.
Okay.
And the kids that want more attention or whatever, I don't know. I still have about half my class that does Seesaw and half of them still aren't doing their Seesaw. Even though I
Okay.
keep telling them it's not optional.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay. Thank you.
I don't know.
Let's go ahead and back this up just a little bit. Oh, Melissa, thank you. I just saw your post in the chat. The kids can see how things can be applied and related to the lesson more. Absolutely. So when we're talking about authentic audience, it's the idea that more people besides just the teachers see their work, and so it's giving them something that's closer to a real life audience or closer to a group of people that they would produce something for eventually, than just submitting it again to a teacher. And I love what Kelly said about how like definitely students who are more shy find comfort in knowing that only the teacher's going to see their work. Typically, it's our students who are more outgoing, who get excited about having an audience, especially a peer audience. But I also think for students, knowing that maybe their mom or their dad is going to see their work kind of changes motivation a little bit. Peers definitely change the amount of effort and the amount of engagement, sometimes the amount of stress that goes into an activity as well. How do you think your students would respond if you were to tell them, hey, we're going to do a project and your work is going to be posted on the school Facebook page or in the newspaper for the general public? What do you think that would do with your students?
I think some of the students would freak out,
Some of
and
mine
some of
would
them
just
would be
be thrilled to pieces. Others
Oh,
would
I have both of you at the same time. No, you're good. Janine, go ahead, and then Melissa right after.
Oh, okay. I think kind of like what Kelly said, a lot of my kids would be thrilled and that'd be really cool, but my quieter, more shy kids might not like it. It kind of depends on what the activity is. If
Okay.
it depends on, like if it's something with just art with no acting or anything, some of my little quiet artists would just love it. If there's more of an acting thing, some of my kids who are a little more active would love it. So it kind of depends on the activity and depends on the kid. And I know that's kind of a wishy-washy answer.
Oh,
but
no. That's perfect. That's great. Melissa, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say it really simple. Some kids would freak out and some would be really excited.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I would totally agree. And I love Janine's comment about like it depends on the activity too and the personality of the kids, right? Some are going to get excited about sharing their math skills. Some are going to get really excited about sharing art. Some of them, if they could get up and demonstrate how to do an exercise in PE, would be over the moon. Versus if you were to stick, I don't know, I'm just thinking of one of the students I saw earlier this week that had to, like, she created a video of herself singing for music class, and I'm going, I can sit here and do a PD with you guys for an hour and a half. You make me sing in front of the camera for 2 minutes and I'm gonna die. Like, for me, that is not gonna work. So yeah, it definitely depends on the student, the area, the activity, all of those different things. One of the things that I love about Seesaw is that it provides the opportunity for an authentic audience. It doesn't force it, and it allows for personalization from student to student and from activity to activity. There are two key features in Seesaw that are geared toward this idea of an authentic audience. One is Seesaw for Families, and the other is Seesaw Blogs, and we're going to take a look at both of these tonight. We'll start with Seesaw for Families. And before I get into demonstrating this or talking through some of the logistics, I'm going to show a quick video that I think does a good job of representing what Seesaw for Families is. And I'm really bad at forgetting to share my audio, so I have to try this over. So go ahead and watch this video.
Welcome to Seesaw. Seesaw is a portfolio that your student will use to showcase what they're learning and doing at school and share that with you, their family. They'll add photos, videos, drawings, voice recordings, notes, and much more to their learning journal. And you'll be able to see their amazing work right on your phone or computer whenever they post something new. Students love Seesaw because they're able to show what they know with lots of different tools and share their work with meaningful audiences, all while practicing those super important 21st century skills. Teachers love Seesaw because they're able to gain insights from all of their students, see student growth, and have all that classwork organized in one place. Parents love Seesaw because they can be closer to the classroom without being there every day and really understand how their student is doing. Teachers and parents are always in control of how student information is shared. Once you've connected to your child's account using the special invite code or link from your child's teacher, you can view all of their posted work. You'll only see your own child's work and messages that your teacher sends home. When something new is added, you'll get a notification. You can decide if you want notifications via email, push, or text message. Notifications can come each time something new is added or just once a day. You choose the settings you prefer. Once you follow the Seesaw notification, you can see what's going on in the classroom in real time. Teachers can also turn on options for you to like and comment on your child's work to encourage their learning. Remember, the best comments help us learn something new. Things like, wow, you did a great job because, have you considered? Interesting, this made me think of, I'm proud of you because, are great conversation starters. We're all learning together how to communicate and be our best selves online. You can leave a text comment or even a voice comment. Voice comments are perfect for younger learners. Seesaw takes your and your child's privacy seriously. We understand that you're trusting us to protect your child's information, and we promise to provide a service that keeps students safe. You can learn more on our website at web.seesaw.me/privacy. Your participation in your child's learning journey is the best way you can support them as they grow into a kind, curious, and empowered learner. Thank you for being part of the Seesaw family.
Okay. So a couple of logistics that are important to know, and then I'll demonstrate how to get families connected. Families connect to your Seesaw class using the family app. And so if they're connecting on either a cell phone or an iPad, they will likely have to download the app. It is a different app than the class app, which is what students use to access Seesaw on a mobile device. Families connect using the family app, and they can only view the connected child's work. We've run into issues in our district because we've got families that download the family app and think that they can go in and edit their students' work from the family app, and you can't do that. And so then we have parents going, I'm trying to fix this, or I gave my phone to my kid to make a correction in their math, and it's not working from the family app. You can only view work, you cannot change work. Families that are connected have the option to like and to comment their child's work. They don't get to see anybody else's work. And the teacher can choose to turn off likes and comments for family members, but families can like their students' posts. They can also leave them comments. Teachers can choose to moderate those comments, and so you can be the buffer, the screener of those comments. Anytime a family member leaves a comment on their child's post, you get a notification. You can choose to approve it or to delete it. But that gives you a little bit of a layer of protection. If you don't want to be that filter and you've got family members that can use this tool appropriately without any kind of moderation, you can turn that filter feature off. And again, yeah, that's teacher approval may be required. There also is the feature, Melissa brought this up earlier, there's the option to send and receive messages with the teacher. And so when you connect a family member, that family member, say Joey's mom, is connected to your class. Once you send out the first message to Joey's mom, it can be just to Joey's mom, or it can be to the entire class and their parents. Once Joey's mom gets that message, Joey's mom can now send you messages back. And you can start to have those conversations and that line of communication going back and forth. Now, Joey can have up to 10 family members connected to the Seesaw class. So he could have mom and dad. He could also have stepmom and stepdad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, cousins, brothers, sisters, whoever the case may be. He can have up to 10 family members connected, which is kind of crazy, but kind of neat if you've got that many family members who are interested in the work that you're doing every day. The nice piece of protection that is there for the teacher is that you don't get lumped into a group message with all 10 family members. So if you have mom, dad, stepmom, stepdad, and you do not want to be in a 4-way conversation or 5-way conversation with all of them, Seesaw's not going to let you anyway. And so if you are messaging Joey's mom, it's only between you and Joey's mom. Joey's dad decides to send you a message back, it's just you and Joey's dad. There is no group messaging there. And so family conversations stay individualized, more to protect you than anything else. Again, you can send out mass messages so that everybody gets the same information, but you don't get stuck in those individual conversations. So we'll go ahead and I'll stop sharing my screen and jump out of our presentation, and I'll show you how to get this set up in Seesaw. And I'm actually going to back up just a little bit to show Melissa how to get students connected in Seesaw. So we have a class here. I do have a class that's been created. I've got students in my class. However, I can choose to add students using this button in the bottom right corner of my screen that says students, and I can add their families using the button next to it. If I want to add students to my class, I click plus students, and then I have instructions waiting for my students right here. All that the students are going to have to do is go to app.seesaw.me, or they download that class app. They'll choose I'm a student, and then they have a one-time code depending on your sign-in system. They have a one-time code that they enter. Once they've entered that code once, they shouldn't have to continue to enter that every single time. Now, there are a couple of other ways you can connect your students, and Melissa, I will send you a video that explains the different ways that you can connect your students, but it really, when it comes down to it, is as simple as the plus students button at the bottom of your screen. Now, if you want to connect your families, we click plus families. And then we have to turn on family access. This doesn't automatically mean that everybody's family is going to be connected. This just turns on the possibility that families could connect. So we'll turn on family access. And then you can send families invitation by email or by their cell phone number. So you do have to do some manual entering here, but you can add their cell phone number, you can add their email address, and then they get a text or an email with a link, and they just connect right to their child's account. There is no like you trying to sort family members to students. You're entering their information in each of these fields. You can also choose to print invitations for your class. And so if you print invitations, you can choose the language that these go home in. I'll go ahead and click print. This obviously is more helpful when you're in person right now as you're getting families connected. And I'm going to scroll down to my next page because this is just instructions on my first page. But then each family has an individualized invitation because you don't want an invitation to your entire class in general, right? Amanda's family needs to connect to Amanda's account. And so this invitation will go home with Amanda. There are instructions for families for how to connect from a smartphone or from a computer. If they have a QR code scanner, they can use the scanner. If not, they have a unique code at the back of their URL that's going to attach them directly to Amanda's account. And so that's how we would get family members connected. Seesaw automatically generates QR code invitations and instructions for every single family or every single student in your class. Once families follow those directions, it again is going to link them straight to that student's account. You're not going to have to do any kind of sorting or delegating. And then jump back here. If we want to manage how our families are able to interact in Seesaw, we go up to our settings tab. It's the wrench in the top right corner. And we come down to the family section. So family access has been turned on. If I decide later that I really don't want this on, I can just shut the whole thing off. That information about inviting families, that's here as well. You can manage your families. You can have pending family approvals. So you have families request to connect to somebody's journal. You can approve those. And then you can manage the family likes, the comments, and the sharings. And so if I click on that bottom button, again, I can enable family sharing, or I can just shut that off all the way. I can let families like posts. I can let families leave comments, and I can say that new comments require approval. So that's that filter where I have to approve family member comments before they're posted for my students. So that in a nutshell, very quickly, is how to get families connected to Seesaw. Any questions about family connection so far? Janine, go for it.
All right. So when families have access, do they have access to everything the child does, or just can you assign to certain assignments they have access to?
They have access to any of the work that's been approved. And so if you're approving and sending back work, it's just the stuff that's been approved.
Oh,
If you're not approving work and it just automatically posts, then they have access to everything. Yeah, great question. Melissa, did you have a question?
What if you have two students or siblings like in a 3rd grade and 1st grade, and they're all doing Seesaw? Can they use the same app, or how does that work? How does it split?
Yeah, they can. So a family member downloads the app and then they get that QR code. They could scan one code for a 2nd grader, one code for a 3rd grader, one code for a 4th grader, and then they have access to all 3 journals. And I actually think I have a video ready to share with you that shows the multiple accounts. But yes, they get to do that. One other neat feature that sort of goes along with that is if you've got a school district that is using Seesaw several years in a row, those journals stay attached to the individual student. And so a family member could have access to the 2nd grade work and the 3rd grade work and the 4th grade work all the way through, which is just, I mean, it's a lot of information and a lot of probably extra work that they don't need to see, but at the same time, you could track their learning from one grade to the next. So great questions. Any others? Okay. I'm gonna jump back really quickly. I think, if I remember right, this is our video that shows the multiple students. I'm gonna go ahead and play one more video. Here we go.
Welcome to Seesaw. You may already know a little bit about Seesaw, like that kids get this excited to use it, that it gives you a window into your child's thinking, or that you become a powerful partner in your child's learning when you connect on the Family app. We're here to help you get started. It'll only take a few minutes. Your child uses the Seesaw Class app to complete assignments with Seesaw's learning tools. As a family member, you use the Seesaw Family app. It was made just for families. Let's get you connected. There are 2 ways your child's teacher can invite you to connect to the Family app. You may have received a text message or an email. You'll see a link to connect. Click the link on the text message or email like you see here. If you've never used Seesaw as a family member, create a new account by signing up with a Google email account or simply typing in your info. If you already have a Seesaw Family account, all you need to do is sign in. That's it, you're connected. The second way your child's teacher may have invited you to Seesaw is with a PDF, like this. It'll have a QR code. This QR code is unique for your child. Here's what you do with it. If you're brand new to Seesaw as a family member, open Seesaw. Download the Seesaw Family app or go to app.seesaw.me. Click I'm a family member. Click Create Account and scan your child's code. Then you can sign up with your Google email address or type in your account details. If you already have a Seesaw Family account, you can connect to all your children's journals on your one Seesaw Family account. Go ahead and sign in. Click your profile icon on the top left. Click Add Child's Journal. Click Scan Code, then scan your child's code. You're all set. How do you use this newfangled technology? We'll show you. First is the Home tab, up here. In the Home tab, you'll see the most recent work from all your children. Next is the Journals tab. The Journals tab allows you to see all work your child or children have created. Click on your child's name to view their entire journal for a class. You can do way more than just look at this work. Your child's teacher may have enabled likes and/or comments. You can click Comment, type a comment, or click the microphone to record a voice comment. Students light up when they know you've seen their work. Finally, the Inbox tab. This is where you communicate with your child's teacher. You'll receive class announcements and one-on-one messages. You can type a reply or click the plus button here to attach photos, videos, and more. Don't worry, messaging is always private. Even when you reply to a class announcement, your reply only goes to the teacher. One last important detail. If your device is set to a language other than English, you'll see Translation when translation is available. Pretty cool to have your child's learning and communication with their teachers all in one place. It may seem simple, but connecting to your child's Seesaw journal makes a huge impact on their learning. That's it. You're ready to Seesaw. See you soon.
All right. There is a link on this page. So if you get a copy of these slides, or if you get the link to these slides, I'll share it with you at the end again. But there is a page called Resources for Family on Seesaw's website that has a huge collection of resources to share with families that was designed specifically for our closure in March, but really can help support families in learning how to use the family app, learning how to use the student platform as they're supporting learning from home. They have all of their resources available in English and Spanish, and they're linked on this slide. And so I just would encourage you to save a copy of these slides so that you can access these links later. But really just know that these are available to you through the Seesaw website. So before we transition into Seesaw blogs, any more questions about Seesaw for Families? Yeah, go ahead, Janine.
All right, so after, like, let's say they don't have Seesaw for Families yet. So after I've graded the assignment, I make a comment and post it. Can they see that post without being in family, or do they have to be in the family to see that post?
Like the comment?
Yeah, in the comment section. Like,
Yeah,
say,
students
good
can
job.
see the comments.
Can they see that without being in the family app, or do they have to have the family app in order to see that comment?
Students can see the comment.
Oh, the students can. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, great question. Any others? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and transition to Seesaw blogs. And this is a huge stretch and a huge shift in the way that we're used to doing school. And so just know that as I'm sharing this information with you, I understand this is a huge stretch and this may not line up with where you're at right now. And if that's the case, it's totally okay. Just take this information in, know that it's available, but also know it's okay to say this isn't for me right now. That said, 6 months from now, you may be faced with a situation where you go, ooh, I see a use for Seesaw blogs. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into them. So a couple of quick things. Why blog with students? Why give them the option of publishing their work online? The first is to provide them with voice, to give them a chance to speak outside of your classroom. The second reason is to develop digital citizenship skills, right? We have a society that has a lot of voice that is very public, whether that be through Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, all of these different things, right? Technology has made it so that anybody has a voice to the public, but not very often do we learn how to use that voice appropriately. And while it's not necessarily your sole responsibility to teach students how to use that voice correctly, it is an opportunity that we have to develop the skills that they need to contribute productively and positively to society as they're producing digital content. The advantage of doing that in Seesaw is that it's a very safe and it's a very moderated environment. When you create a Seesaw blog, you have full control over everything that goes out of your classroom and everything that comes back into your classroom. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. But one other advantage of blogging with students is promoting collaboration and conversation among diverse groups of students. We come from relatively small communities. We come from communities where our students may not necessarily leave the community very often. And so being able to blog, being able to communicate and collaborate with students from other communities can be a really valuable experience for our students. So I'm going to walk you through some overview information for creating a blog, and then I'll show you what this looks like actually within blogs. But I did want to type this information out so that you have this to refer back to later. If you're going to activate a class blog, you'll go to the settings and turn on the blog. This won't appear unless you manually do make it appear, so just know you're not going to accidentally end up with a blog. Blogs default to being public, so open to anybody to access. But there is the option to password protect them. And so if you want to create a blog that people could access, but maybe family members have to give out a password, or you give out a password when you want people to see things and then you change the password later, that option is there. You get to enter a name for your blog and you get to create a custom URL, so that web address, and then you can choose like with the parent app or the family app, you can choose to enable or disable the comments. And then again, you can add that password. As students are adding posts and then as people are viewing posts, you have to manually click on a blog icon below a post to add it to a blog. So again, this doesn't all of a sudden push everything from the journal into the blog and make it public. You're going through individual student posts, pushing a button, sending them over. That being said, your students cannot. They can add posts to the blog, but they have to have approval from the teacher. So if the student says, this is my work and I'm super proud of it, they can push the blog button. Then you get a notification and you can say, yes, that's appropriate for us to post to the blog, or no, sorry, we need to go back and make some changes before that goes public. So you approve everything that goes to the blog, and then no matter what, only students' first names show in the blog. So there's not going to be any extra information given out besides the first name of the student who created the item. If you want to view your blog, you'll open the blog tab. This isn't going to be visible unless you've activated this. You can also enter the URL of the website to view. Families have to use the URL. They're not going to be able to connect to the blog from the family app. And then students, teachers, and parents, as well as the general public, have the option of interacting with blog posts. So depending on how you have it set up, people who visit your blog can add comments to your posts. They get the text comments or the audio comments. But no matter what, you have to approve every single comment. And so if you happen to connect with a classroom in Australia and you've got a group of third graders in Australia that are looking at your students' work and leaving them comments, it is some extra filtering for you, but you have to approve every single comment from every single kid before it gets posted in the blog and before your students see it. So we have that kind of required layer of protection there for our students, and you are that buffer. You can choose to deny posts, you can choose to block posts, that sort of thing, so that the kids don't ever see them and the posts don't go public. There's also one other feature that I'll show you within the blog portion of Seesaw, and that is this idea of connected blogs. And so not only are your students producing content, but your students then have access when you turn on blogs to look at other classes' Seesaw blogs. And so you go in as the teacher and you approve specific blogs that you want your students to connect to. And then students have access to that class in Australia or the class in Washington that you've connected with, and they can go through and see what those students are doing. They can comment, they can leave feedback and likes and that sort of thing. Again, the filtering goes the same the other way. If your students are leaving comments and posts, that receiving teacher has to approve those before their students see them. You don't filter them on your side, you don't filter the outgoing comments, but they will be filtered before some of these students see them. So that is really quick overview of Seesaw blogs, but I'm going to show you what I'm talking about now. And as I go through this demo, if you've got questions, feel free to ask them. I'm going to jump over to our Seesaw class, and we're going to turn on a blog. So to turn on our blog, we go up to the settings menu. That's that wrench of the settings icon. And we scroll down to the class blog section. It's really small because it starts out off. We toggle this button to turn it on, and then Seesaw is going to walk us through the process of creating a class blog. So we can click set up a public blog, and then we get to give our blog a name. It's going to default to my class name. I could keep it like that, or I could change it to something else. I'm just going to go ahead and leave Seesaw in September, and then we'll see if Seesaw in September is available. If I type my URL, it looks like I can't use this, so I can't use restricted words. If I had to take a guess, Seesaw is probably restricted. Let's try September. That one's been taken. So you might have to get a little bit creative. We're going to stick my last name in front of this. We'll do Fuller September. There we go. Once I get to the check mark, I have an available URL. Now I can use that and I can create my blog. I can choose to enable the comments now, and I can choose to password protect this. I am going to go ahead and password protect this because I don't actually want to post any of your work publicly. So I will go ahead and just give this a password. And now that is ready to go. So I'm going to click my forward arrow. My blog has been created. I can visit this on the internet, or I can open it from Seesaw. So I'll click my check mark, and you'll notice now I have the blog tab to the right side of my Seesaw menu. And this is pretty much what my blog will look like if I visit this on the web. If I click on my URL, it'll open a new tab. I have to enter the password. And you can see my blog's pretty plain. I haven't done a whole lot here yet. So I'll go ahead and jump back over to my blog. And now I have the option to customize my blog. So I can click the gear, make it a little bit fancier. I can give it a description. I could change the name or the URL, and then I can add a header image also. I do not have any images ready to upload, so we're just going to see what I have on my computer. I don't know how well this is going to work. Let's go ahead and pull this picture. Give it a minute to upload, but essentially you're taking this and customizing it and making it your own for your students. And any of the settings that you establish, you can go back and edit those later as well. So you can see in my preview, this really isn't a great image to use as the header for my blog, but for the sake of time, we're just going to leave it there right now. I've got this header. I can see how many posts have been posted in my blog. I can also see how many visits my blog has. And so if I'm tracking that with my students, just a nice little piece of information that I have. And then there's just that quick reminder that to add a post to the blog, I just have to tap the globe icon below the post to publish it. If I go back to my journal, and we'll say just for practice sake, we're going to post this black screen from our sample student. If I scroll down to the bottom of that black screen, I can see there's that new blog icon. It's this globe at the bottom. If I click this, it's going to ask me if I really want to publish the item to the blog. I publish it to the blog, and now when I click on my blog tab, I can see it here. If I refresh on my web page, we can see all of those changes are made in real time, and now that, in quotes, student post appears on my blog. any questions about the logistics of setting up a blog with your students, or for your students, I guess? Pretty simple.
So I have a question about the blog.
Go for it.
Is it basically just a way, like a giant discussion board and sharing, like making a portfolio? Is that what the blog is?
So the journal really is the portfolio for the student. The blog is the way, it's like having a class website or a class Facebook page. It's a way for you to share what your kids are doing outside of your class. Yeah. I'm going to show you a couple ways that people have used blogs in the past. But again, just know this isn't a feature you have to use. It's one that's good to know is available. I've heard of teachers just using the blog. So that instead of turning on family access, they create a blog and they just give the parents the password. Nothing sensitive is posted if there's a student who can't have work shared outside the classroom. Then that student's work just doesn't get posted in the blog. But that lets the class be or the teacher be very controlled about what goes to parents even, instead of opening up family access. Just because you can be so intentional and so specific about what gets posted. So, I'm going to show you real quick. We'll jump over to our slides. I want to show you a couple of ways that I've been hearing about people using blogs. And one of these ways is called the Global Classroom Project. And again, if you have these slides, there are some links here to the Global Classroom Project. But the whole idea behind this was that teachers and students from all over the world could connect within a Seesaw classroom. The title here at the top is linked to, I think it's a Google Doc, that walks you through how to set up a global classroom and the process that was used by these teachers. But if you look in this first picture, you can see part of the teacher dashboard. And what they did was they had one teacher, the organizing teacher, create a Seesaw classroom, and then they connected with 5 teachers from other countries. And those teachers became students within the organizing teacher's account. And so you can see we've got Miss Thomas from Japan, Mrs. Lee, we've got Mrs. Diaz, Mrs. G, and down at the bottom, her name just got covered up. But we've got this list of teachers from these different countries, and they're now students in the class. And so it's not individual students that are joining a global classroom. It's really kind of the class as a whole. So Miss Thomas's class is represented by her Seesaw class account. And then each week there was a topic that was posted. And so each classroom was responsible for responding to the topic. One of the videos that was posted was the classroom tour. And so for one of the weeks, each class posted a video taking the other students on a tour of the classroom. And I'm going to go ahead and open this real quick and just let you see it.
Let's go inside of our classroom. When kids come in, they usually come into our locker room first. This is where they keep their backpacks and coats and hats and all their winter boots and winter gear, since it's cold in Minnesota now. And then over here, they have mailboxes where they put their folders and any work they're going to take home. And then you can kind of see around our classroom what it looks like. We have tables where students sit sometimes. We also have low tables that students can kneel on the ground and sit at. We have a reading tent that kids can get books and go read in. We have some computers, lots of books. This is our kind of block area where we have a Lego table and some more building blocks and all sorts of fun things. You can see out of our window in our classroom, that is our playground where we go for recess, and look at all the snow that we have in Minnesota right now. So everybody has their winter gear on. If you keep looking around our classroom, this is our math shelf where we have all sorts of math stuff to learn with. And this is where we usually sit when we're doing a large group lesson. And we have a smart board, which is kind of like a big computer that we can look at and learn from too. But this is This is an area for some art, but all sorts of fun things in our kindergarten classroom. We usually have our morning meeting up here at the front of our classroom.
And that's their video. And so again, you've got these students from all over the world that are getting to peek into other classrooms. And so as they cover these different topics, they're talking about the classroom tour. There's another video you can see here that's just a view from their classroom. There was one that was, what are we having for lunch today? And so the teachers did a video in the lunchroom, and it was, this is the meal we're eating. But students from the United States suddenly get to see lunch in Japan and lunch in Spain and lunch all over the world. They're able to make observations, they're able to compare and contrast, and then they're able to leave comments for each other, to ask follow-up questions, and really to have these sort of digital pen pals where suddenly we're not just sending emails or writing letters, suddenly we get to send videos and we get to send pictures and voice comments, and we can do it really quickly because we can leave feedback and comments and that sort of thing. So that is the Global Classroom project. If this is something that's interesting to you and you would like to learn more about this, or you're thinking, I just want to connect with one other class right now or one other teacher, Facebook is actually a really good way to do that. So from your Facebook account, you can connect with Seesaw teachers from your grade or from other grades, but you can join the Seesaw group potentially for the grade that you teach, and then you're seeing posts and things that are by and for teachers of your grade level. And so one of the things that I saw this past spring was a group of teachers that were starting this global classroom. And so there were directions for starting a global classroom, but then teachers started commenting below and saying like, hey, somebody else is doing a round of this, but let's see if we can get a group together. I'm from this country. Is there anybody out there from somewhere else that would want to connect with my class? And so I would encourage you, if this is interesting to you, follow or like your grade level on your grade level Seesaw page on Facebook, and keep an eye out for the global classroom and people that might want to connect with you. You could do something super big like this project that's described, or you could go really small and say, hey, we're going to use a class blog. I'm going to connect with somebody else that has a class blog, and then we're only going to share our passwords between the two of us teachers. And so maybe I'm connected with that class in Australia. That teacher in Australia has my password. I have her password for the blog, and then our students are able to see into each other's blogs, but then nobody else gets to see them. So we have, again, this sort of global pen pal with a totally different digital dimension. So I want to give you a little bit of time to explore some blogs that have been created by other teachers. If you would type in this web address, you might have to open a new tab, and I'll go ahead and put this in the chat as well, but it's bit.ly/seesawblogs1920. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Uh-oh, my link didn't work. Hold on just 1 second. Sorry about that. Interesting. Give me just 1 minute to see if I can figure out why my link is not working. 2019-20 school year, and so you're going to notice some of these blogs aren't active anymore. Let me go ahead and put this in the chat, and then I'll share my screen. So this one should work, but let me know if it doesn't. You're going to want to be able to click on the links. So within this Google Doc, it's separated by grade level. And you're going to notice the last column in each of these says whether it's password protected or not. If it's password protected and they didn't include a password, we're not going to be able to get to it. I do know, like if we're looking at, let me just double check this. Fairly confident it is this blog, but I'm going to double check. Well, let's just try clicking on their links. We'll be able to find some active blogs. There we go. So go ahead. Some of these are hyperlinks. You can click into these and take a look. If you don't see the hyperlink, so it's not blue, you need blog.seesaw.me/whatever words you see here. So if I leave a comment here, blog.seesaw.me/ and then whatever that code is. So I'm gonna give you 5 or so minutes to just kind of take a look at what other teachers are doing. If you have questions, feel free to come off mute and ask or put them in the chat. But we'll come back together about 8:15. Answer either question, but what are things that you noticed, and then what are wonderings that you have?
Oh my goodness.
Is there anything that caught your attention from the blogs that you looked at? Okay, Melissa, I love that. They're wearing uniforms in a different country, but they're learning the same concepts as your students. That's so cool.
Yeah, I got kicked out. I just now rejoined.
Oh, what?
Somehow I got kicked out of our meeting. I
Oh,
saw
no.
a really cute one, little boy in New Zealand who they went to a museum and they had the dinosaur skeleton there, and there's this little stuffed giraffe, and the little boy read the story about the little giraffe. It was really cute.
Oh, that's awesome. Any wonderings, any questions, or anything that you think you could maybe take and try with your kids at some point?
Maybe sometime down the road.
Yeah. Absolutely. I even wonder, honestly, about doing something like this with another class from your school district. Like, hey, we're at Alameda. We're going to connect with a class at Aiken, or expanding beyond that and saying, hey, maybe I'll connect with somebody that's been in this workshop or in a workshop I've been to. I know they're using Seesaw. Maybe our classes can be pen pals, right? They're not on the other side of the world by any means, but they are in a different community around the state, and maybe we can do some sharing and some collaborating together. All right, so we are going to go ahead and wrap up. We've got about 20 not 20 minutes left. We have about 12 minutes left. So just quickly to revisit those themes that we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, this idea of community, of accountable talk, and then authentic audience. And really quickly, Melissa, just because I saw your comment in the chat, I love that. Connecting with classes down the hall as you're trying to keep your cohorts separate, like absolutely use this feature to connect kids. I love that. So those are the themes that we've looked at. And so my closing question to you is just, what are your next steps? And I want you to have a little bit of time to think about this. And so we're going to respond within our Seesaw classroom. If you have a tab open with Seesaw, go ahead and open that one back up. You may have to log out of your teacher account, but we're just going to jump right back into our classroom account. Oh, I think I lost mine. We'll log in one last time to our Seesaw class. And there's an activity right here at the top for you, and it's just next steps. So what I'm asking you to do is use the tool of your choice to describe your next steps. How are you moving forward with Seesaw during the 2020-21 school year? And if you are not ready to use this, it is okay to say so. If you have questions, go ahead and post them here. And then I do have that question about what resources and supports will be essential to your success. So you can use any tools you want. You just want to type in the notes section, that's totally fine. But we're going to take about 6 minutes to do this. And yes, Melissa, I will give you the code. So we'll click students and then LTA PGB. So we'll come back together about 8:25.
Sorry, gotta mute myself. Are we
All right, so for the sake of time, I'm going to wrap us up. If you are still working on your next steps, though, I would love to see your feedback and your thoughts in this area. So please don't stop yourself from submitting that, because I would like to see it. But I just am looking at the clock and realizing that we do need to wrap up. So I'm going to share my last couple slides, and I just want to go. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. Never mind. Click present. And I just want to take us back to our goals for our time together. And so we had 2 main objectives. The first is that we would learn some strategies for engaging students and families using Seesaw. And the second was that you would have the chance to collaborate virtually with other educators from our region who are using this tool to share ideas, successes, and resources. And so my hope is that you've been able to do that this has been a productive use of your time, that you've learned some things and maybe had the chance to learn from each other as well a little bit. I want to say thank you so much for your time. I know that it's a huge sacrifice to give up an hour and a half of your evening each week, and just know that I really appreciate it. I've enjoyed getting to spend this time with you and to learn from you. But I appreciate your time and also the investment that you're making in your students by choosing to learn as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out over email. My email address is listed there. You're also welcome to stick around and ask other questions if you've got those. And then if you want the link to these slides, that URL is bit.ly/seesawsocial4. And that is available for you as well. You can take these slides and access the links that are embedded within them, share those, use it however you would like. So again, thank you so much for coming tonight, for finishing this series out with us. If you have questions, feel free to stick around, but otherwise have a great evening.
Thank you, McKenzie, for doing this for us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for coming, Janine.
We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.